Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a little presentation on the R's of learning. These coincide with developmentally appropriate practice. They are not assigned or required reading, but I think they are super important in a course like this that I at least go over them and discuss them with you. The following that you're about to see in this PowerPoint presentation, the R's of Learning, these are taken from the book Reflecting Children's Lives by Deb Curtis and Margie Carter. If you get a chance to read or listen to anything by either of these two amazing women, I highly encourage you to do so. And I want to give you some context around this. I want you to know that when I talk about the R's of learning and the R's of teaching, I think it's important to note that when reflecting upon these in your work, this doesn't mean that this adds more stress to your already busy life. I don't want you to read this as a checklist of things you need to put in an assignment and things you need to add to your teaching and learning. These are things for your own reference, for your own thought process. I put them in here to be thought-provoking and reflective so that you understand the true value of what we're trying to do here. So let's see. All right, so the R's of DAP, teaching and learning. The first R is remember. Remember to slow down. Take time to really notice and delight in children and the magic of their development. I have been a preschool teacher and a kindergarten teacher for years, and I'm here to tell you that we get so bogged down sometimes in the curriculum and the learning objectives and the outcomes that we forget to really just slow down and know our role in a child care center. And that is really, really just taking notice of children. And when, Deb Curtis and Margie Carter talk about the magic of their development, I used to say this right after I had my first daughter, Claire, who is now 8. And I, practicing this my whole life, it was so cliche until I had a child. And I realized that everything they do is magical. Think about from birth to, up to 10 months, or starting at 10 months up to 16 months, they're going to say their first word or their first few words. Within a year or less, they have learned a language. That is magical. From right out of the womb, from 8 months to 16 months, they have learned to walk. These are skills that we take for granted, and yet young children acquire and develop at such a rapid pace. So it's remarkable, it's marvelous, and it's magic. And I think we need to sit in that awe to truly appreciate children, child development, and what our role is in this process of teaching and learning. The next R, reawaken yourself and the children to a sense of wonder, curiosity, a passion for discovery, and new learning. I talked about this in my last PowerPoint lecture when we're talking about inquiry-based learning and asking open-ended questions. The child's world is full of discovery, full of new things. They wonder about things and they are incredibly curious. And if we just sit with that for a minute and observe and attune to what they are discovering, we can discover the magic in that ourselves. Recognize that childhood is a time for intense intellectual pursuit and social and emotional learning. Build curriculum on children's interests and on the questions and skills they are pursuing. So this is one of the key tenets of developmentally appropriate practice, which we have discussed before. Reconnect with your community. Plan the majority of activities in your curriculum around real people, real issues, and real work needing to be done. This is so important when we talk about a quote-unquote cookie-cutter curriculum where maybe we want them to learn about the seasons or the colors, and we're not actually talking about current events and current issues that may be going on in a child's life at the moment. So this is the real people, the real issues, and the real work needing to be done. And represent the interests, activities, and thinking process that is the heart of your program. Take time to observe, record, and create, although I'm just noticing now that I spelt that crate, so my apologies. And create displays with photos, stories, and celebrations honoring the events in your daily lives together. We also call this in developmentally appropriate practice observation. And rethinking. Rethinking your materials. I always love to say this, and at some point this semester we will talk about the environment and materials, and a big one is loose parts. So believe it or not, you do not have to buy expensive, fancy, beautiful materials to have a good quality early childhood program. To be a good teacher, you do not need the most expensive materials. Oftentimes you will notice that some sand, stick, and rocks are the most provocative, profound, amazing tools you can give a child to play with. So I think that's something super important that we need to acknowledge. And again, adding these R's into your work, it shouldn't add more stress. It should give you life and rejuvenation. It implies that I really want you to slow down, build from what you have around you, and that's materials, and that's community, that's the children. All this asks you to do is observe carefully, think critically, cultivate your own passion for childhood and best practices. And I promise you, if you just follow all of these basic principles and you truly get back to the heart of teaching and why you wanted to become a teacher, all of this is going to come easy for you, especially as we talk about developmentally appropriate practice and we move forward into our emergent curriculum module.